What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Do I Want to Know with Marc and Mitch. My name is Mitchell Cairns. I'm one of the co-hosts of this show, and we are back, baby. After about a month off with the coronavirus and everything that's going on in the world, we are back with episode 5. We have a special guest today, guys. We have another sports media Ryerson guy who is the most funniest guy we know in our program. He is amazing. But before we get to that, let me introduce my partner here. You know who he is, the Rocky fan. You know he loves the movies. He loves everything about Rocky. Give it up for my man, Marc Vicioso. Marc, what's up, man?
Oh, we're back in business, aren't we, brother? It's been a while.
Back. I'm excited, man. How about you?
I don't know. I'm excited to see you. How you been, Mitch? I think the audience wants to know what you've been up to.
What I've been up to? Well,
yeah, man.
Take a quick guess what I've been up to. Take a guess.
Working on the abs?
Working out. That's it, man. Working out. That's it. You knew me, bro. I am starting my other job too, so I am working as well. So I'll be working as a server at a golf course, and I'm working as the other job as a basketball coach for summer camps. But what about you, man? You working at all?
No, right now I was collecting CERB for a bit because, like, my other job at Ryerson, obviously there's no activities right now. And the other job I have on the side, like coaching, not really anything right now. Mm-hmm. But I've been working on myself, been doing a lot of, like, working out. The 365 journey, if you know, you see it. Watch a lot of movies, but mine is just as sharp as it's ever been.
Yeah, you sure?
I don't know. Maybe. We'll see today.
We'll see today because we have Tomas Coburn coming on the show, and he is the most wittiest guy I've ever talked to. He's quick on his feet.
Yeah, we make a mistake with our grammar, with our punctuation. He's not going to be afraid to call us out on it. You'll see what he gets out.
He will call us out. So we have to be on our best game right now, man.
10 toes, guys. 10 toes. But for everybody, you're saying, oh, we're missing somebody. We're missing Frank the Tank Ieantorno.
Right.
He took a little trip to Wasaga Beach. He's you know, he has a girlfriend, so he's not on the market yet, ladies. So just let you know. He's at the cottage getting the tan in. So just me and Mitch, the original duo doing it. And I'd be reminiscent if we're not going to talk about it. So we're going to let it out right now. Everything in the world right now going on, coronavirus, and with the last month, what happened with the Black Lives Matter movement. We, as Do I Want to Know, want to take a second and we want to acknowledge everything that's been going on. And we say that we're with you. We're with the people that are fighting a good fight, fighting something that they want to change in the world. Because people, Black people especially right now at this moment, have been oppressed for a long time, 400 years. And it's time to make a change, make a stand, and actually start a dialogue with everybody. So just because you're not posting on Twitter, Instagram anymore, doesn't mean it still doesn't matter. So just remember, Black Lives Matter, and we're all in this together.
That's right, Mark. And like you said, we stand with the support of Black Lives Matter, everything. And yes, when people talk about all lives matter as well, yes, obviously all lives matter. But in this case right now, this time in the world, we need to be focusing on Black Lives Matter because they're the ones that have been oppressed the most throughout history. So we need to focus on that and change that right now. So by saying Black Lives Matter, we're not saying all the other lives don't matter. No, of course they matter. But right now we need to focus on helping the Black community and making sure we are learning and figuring out how we can change this world.
Exactly. And this podcast, it's going to help you out a lot with maybe just getting your mind off things. If you're stressed, if you're that. But everybody knows there's a time code section down below. So underneath the description of the video, we're going to have different time codes, which links to different segments in the podcast. Mm-hmm. With me doing this with Coburn, there's going to be a lot of segments because this guy is just all over the place. He just
loves to talk.
And I love that too. So look at the time codes if you want. And Mitch.
And as always, guys, we are sponsored by Wells Infused Vodka Lemonade. As always, Frankie's not here, so I don't think we're going to be doing the promo before our open book segment. So I want to put out right now. Guys, I've been drinking it during the last month, during when summer started. It's amazing. Please go check it in your LCBOs right now. Go check it out. All right, Marc, are you ready?
Let's do it.
You ready, man? Let's get him on the show. Let's start that intro.
Do I want to know is the question. question I might ask. I'm diving in deep, it's like a blast from the past. New guests every week, is that enough for your ass? Cause these men's have us chill, you best grab a coat. You can't handle the questions, you best leave the show. It's Mitchell Cairns and Marc Vicioso, the two kingpins, like Chewy and Solo.
All right, and now for episode 5, we got a guest, a comedian, a sport media student, anything you want, the jack of all trades, Tomas Coburn. What's up, my brother?
What's up? I hear this is episode 5. It's a milestone episode, isn't it?
It is
It's a milestone episode. So I'm a great guest. I'm just a jack of all trades, like you said. What a great intro.
Exactly.
You made me sound like I've accomplished stuff in my life. Thanks for that.
So Coburn, I have a question though. Like, when you wear the glasses, do you really need the glasses, or are they just like a part of the look?
I'm basically blind without my glasses. Like, legitimately.
Marc, what kind of questions that, man?
I just wanted to get to know it. I've always been curious, but now, he's looking at me. I didn't know what to say,
Well, you know what?
Yeah, I'm blind.
I can't lie. I wear glasses too that have like 0 prescription.
Zero? Yeah.
I remember one day I showed up to class once with them, and everyone looked at me like, "This kid wears glasses now?" And I'm like, "I know, it's just for show. It's just for looks."
You gotta play it off like you wear contacts.
Exactly. Next time I have to. Yeah, man.
But for people that don't know Coburn or who he is, Coburn, he's a guy. Me and Mitch, we're gonna be honest here. We had a lot of other guests that were on the show, and we should have had Coburn on before, because what 100%. We were doing, we should have had him on before, because before we get into it, I'm gonna get into a little bit of a rant later. But I'll just tell you right now, Coburn, there were a couple guests on an episode before you that had some peculiar things that they were doing around here. I don't want to get too much into it.
Marc, don't do it.
The questions that we were answering we were asking them. They didn't even give us anything to work with. They gave us the bones, like they gave us the bone marrow. You know what I mean?
Couldn't carry the conversation, right?
Couldn't carry a conversation at all. Just terrible guests.
Not what you want in a podcast.
Not what you want. And
we're not Marc, we're not naming names, okay? I know you feel very strong about this, but we're not naming names.
There's so many episodes that you guys have done, so like it's hard to really find out who it is.
Like in the index, it's a table of contents. We don't know what's going on.
Oh, man.
But for people that don't know, Coburn obviously attends sport media. He's a Bill Crothers alumni. Mm-hmm. Coburn, if you had to say one thing about yourself that like you would say really, if you're telling somebody, Coburn, who are you? What are you going to tell them?
Oh, good question. I didn't know this was a job interview. I guess, who am I? I mean, whenever I don't really describe myself to people too often, but when I hear other people describe me to other people, the first thing that I hear is the humor side. I like to joke around a lot. I like to make people laugh. That's just how I like to have fun with people in conversation. Very witty, yes. So, I would say humor is a big chunk of my personality, and that's how a lot of people become friends with me and first start to get to know me, is through my humor.
Exactly. And a lot of the humor that you see is on your podcast too. He's also a podcast on Catch the Blitz, right? So
yes,
he's the co-host with Thomas Pac. We had Pac on before. He was a gem on the podcast. We're not going to get into it. Of course.
So now there's only, only 3 other guests that you narrow down to?
Marc, you're making it so easy.
Bro, some things have to be said, but you could really see that. You could really see the humor that you had on the podcast. So what would you say, like, some difficulties you ran into the podcast? Because me and Mitch, we've ran into our fair share of, like, difficulties and trying to, like, just maneuver conversations around, get to know the person. What would you say is, like, a main thing that you saw?
For sure. Well, I guess me and Pac had a little bit of an advantage, as we knew each other for 2-3 years prior going into the podcast. So we already had a good chemistry talking, like, off camera. But obviously it's different once you put microphones in front of your face. One thing is just kind of interrupting each other and talking over each other. You don't notice it when you're having a conversation just with your friends or whatever, but when you're recording it, you notice it, and it sounds really weird if you start to jump over people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
exactly.
How about you guys? What'd you run into?
It's more like when I'm with Mitch, also because of the Zoom thing, it makes it, like, difficult because, like, there's a different thing when you're in person with somebody. It's sort of just a natural cue that you have, Mm-hmm, and I think that's, like, what a lot of people don't understand, because first podcast we did, we're looking through a mirror, right? That room, there's a mirrored room at Ryerson, the one, not the main video room, but it's sort of like I'm talking to Mitch through that, so I can see him. But if he's in the same room as me in that room, and I'm talking to Mitch, I can be like, oh, Mitch is looking at me this way. He wants me to sort of move over to this next subject or do that. And it's just something about human nature that innately you want to just, you move off what the other person's doing, right, Mitch?
Yeah, it's been pretty difficult on Zoom, especially how we're starting off on Zoom, not really have like a base of actually being in a studio. And I also think one of the reasons why it's taken us so long to bring you on the show, because we wanted you to be in the studio with us, man.
Exactly.
But we're like, you know what? We need to start bringing the best guest on right now, which is why we brought you on now.
I appreciate it. Yeah, and Zoom's a little weird because there is a little bit of a delay.
Exactly.
So it's like you start to cut people off and you don't even realize it.
Exactly.
But a little bit with everything that's gone on, coronavirus. We had a podcast before the coronavirus. If Coburn wants to remember, it's in the lost and found section.
It's in the vault. Locked away.
It's in the lost and found section, and we talked about something there, Mitch, that I don't know if you talked about. We talked about I remember it very clearly, the summer of sports. And we talked about, Coburn said it was going to be an extravaganza, if you want to call it. The C&E of sports. Summer 2K20 is going to be remembered for a long time. So with everything coming back now, Coburn, would you say you're excited for it? Like, what if you're at the C&E and you go on like a ride, what ride are you going on? NHL waves, NBA waves, NFL wave? What way that they're dealing with it is most intriguing you right now?
I love your analogies, Marc, by the way, using a ride.
Okay, I mean, I'm the most excited for hockey. It's my favorite sport, so obviously that's what I'm going to pick.
They rigged that,
They rigged that.
That was a big rig.
They get the first overall pick, though. Like, explain that to me, because I'm not the biggest hockey fan, but how do they get the first overall pick and have it, like, and then they're in the playoffs, technically?
Yeah, I mean, they made the lottery and hockey's like the worst shot. Like even if you're the first over or you're the worst team, you have like an 18% chance at it, which is like, it's really not that good. No. Like the Leafs got it. That was like, it was extremely lucky. Yeah. But I think they've kind of overcorrected where I think the first couple teams need to have a bit of a higher chance to get the number 1 overall pick, because like now a team that's going to be in the wild card round, for lack of a better term, they're going to get the number 1 overall pick. And that whatever team that is, they're going to be set up so well for like the next 5-10 years.
That means the Leafs have a chance, though, at the number 1, correct?
Yes. And I was talking about this a couple of days ago. If you're any of these teams that, like, if you don't think you have a chance at the Cup, throw the series. Like, it doesn't make sense for teams like, even like the Leafs are playing Columbus. If I was Columbus, I would throw the series. Even in a perfect world, if you're the Leafs, you throw the series just because they're not going to win the Cup. They don't have the team right now. But they can't because of all the pressure. They can't because
the next team, right? They face if they win.
They do another tournament with all the top. It's a mess.
Yeah. Nobody knows the NHL one. The NHL one's a mess, but the bigger mess out of all of this would just be, I would just say, going to Florida in the first place to do all these things.
Yeah, what do you think about that? What do you think about that, Coburn? Because like Florida is so
it's the cesspool for COVID. I don't know why you're going there.
Like, I want to go to Florida in the first place, but now we're going there because we actually want to play basketball.
You're bringing regular season games.
You're bringing millionaires, and that people that bring you millions. And if they get sick, what happens? Like, what? It just all done?
I don't understand why they don't just switch it. Like, there's no courts in wherever, like a place that has low rates. Like, I mean,
like, exactly. And they're doing it at Disney World, correct?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
The wild world of sports. I've been there. It's like in Orlando.
Yeah, in Orlando. If they're so keen on having like that kind of big location, isn't there one in California? Like a Disney World or something like that? Like, why not just move it there? Like,
I think it's mainly because the NBA guys, they think, okay, we're going to go – if we go to LA, we're going to give LeBron the advantage.
Buddy, what I mean? What advantage is it, though?
No, because they don't want to do it.
Half his team's quitting because they don't want to play. So, I mean, like –
Bro, didn't the NBA – I seen a report the other day. The NBA want to make sure that Zion has his 1986 Celtics moment versus LeBron. I'm like, NBA,
buddy, you want that too? Like, I want to see that, don't you?
I want to see it, but if it happens naturally, Coburn?
You got to think about
it'll happen next year. I don't know, like, who cares?
You got to think about the NBA. They have lost so much money. They need people to start watching their games again. So if that happens, millions will be watching that game.
Who are you putting your money on to win the NBA championship, Coburn?
I still say Clippers.
Really?
Especially because the Lakers lost. Dwight Howard's not playing, right?
Yeah. But like,
I don't think he's officially out.
I'm pretty sure he confirmed it.
Did he confirm it?
Yeah. He's not playing.
I think there was a report that said like he was listening to Kyrie's text chain or whatever that was.
Yeah.
And that he had it, but like I think Kendrick Perkins may have changed his mind a bit.
Yeah,
but Avery
Bradley, yeah.
But Mark, guess what, man? Guess who the Lakers just signed up or officially, or there's a rumor that they're going to sign him today.
No, it's official.
Smith?
It's official, right?
Yeah.
J.R. Smith. Reunite LeBron with J.R., man. What do you think? No, come on. Give the guy – come on. Give him something, man.
Yeah, what happened the last time they played? He ran away with the ball.
Yeah. Like, Mitch, if you did that in intramurals, I'd be mad at you. I can only imagine the pure rage
Mark,
of LeBron James.
You get way too competitive in intramural basketball. Like, it's like Ryer's feud. Mark, you fought. You got to fight the ref after the game. You wanted to play the ref. I swear we lost by like 2 as well.
No, we lost by 18, Mitch. You know why? Because I didn't care anymore. They weren't calling fouls. They weren't doing this. They weren't doing that.
Mark, great players stop that momentum. The great ones, they wouldn't let that happen. So no excuses.
Didn't LeBron get swept like 4 times in the finals, though?
Listen, you're not talking to a LeBron fan here, so.
Buddy, look, we're not going to talk about that.
Who's your player in the NBA?
My favorite player in the NBA?
Yeah.
I don't have a favorite player. I cheer for the Raptors. If I like the players on the team, if they leave, I don't cheer for them. I'm like that across all sports.
Not even Kawhi?
No, I hate Kawhi.
Really?
Why would you leave?
Why? Because he wants to go back home. Why not? He wanted.
Listen.
He came for a year that was supposed to be a rental. He won us a championship, and then he gets to go home. Like, he did everything right. Like, what? Why can't he be mad at the guy?
Because he left. He left my team, so I can't be mad at him.
I can see Coburn. You know, like this is. I don't think it's as big a thing as in North America because of trading. But in European soccer, you literally have the ability to stay with their team for as long as you want, as long as they don't like want to sell you. And they'll only sell you if you're. Sorry, that was a first swear word on the podcast, but they'll only sell you then. So those people that left, like Andrea Pirlo when he left, he's a fraud. You know, all these guys that left us, they're frauds.
Exactly. You leave, you're dead to me. I'm not cheering for you anymore. I don't want to see you be great.
Of course. But I think that's I want to see you be great. Classic. All right. But Coburn, I think we're reminiscent to be talking about this. I don't even know if that's the right wording. Is that right? Reminisce to talk about? Is that even right?
Well, I don't know what you're about to say. Like, I don't know what the next part of the sentence is, so I don't know if it's the correct word or not.
All right. It was. I wanted to get you in that type of mood because you obviously like comedy, and I wanted to sort of get your thoughts on any of your favorite comedians right now in the world.
My favorite comedians right now. Well, it's a funny thing, I guess, with comedy now. It's like you can have favorite comedians who do podcasts because like they basically all have podcasts now, or you can just have favorite stand-ups because there are comedians who I think have really good podcasts, and then you watch their stand-up and they're not funny.
Who would be like an example of that, would you say?
Have you ever heard of, who Brendan Schaub is?
Yeah.
So like he has a good podcast with Brian Callen and another funny stand-up, but his stand-up comedy is terrible. Like it's just not funny. But I guess my favorite comedian right now currently is probably Andrew Schultz. Do you know who that is?
I think was that did he have a Netflix special that just came out?
No.
Was it recent? Or
he doesn't have a special on Netflix.
Oh, he doesn't. He's not that type of guy, eh?
Yeah, he has one coming out on Amazon. Yeah, he actually hates Netflix, but yeah, he has a podcast called Flagrant 2. It's one of the funniest podcasts you can watch. He have you seen those? They've been going crazy on like Instagram, like the turn the videos, and he does like political commentary. Have you seen those videos, Mitch? You know what I'm talking about?
I've seen that on like the Comedy Factor or something like that. They got these videos. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So he does those, and they've just been blowing up. I mean, he has like 1 million followers on Instagram, and I've watched him since I was in like the 7th grade. So that was, I don't know how many years ago now.
Sorry, are you trying to be a comedian as well, or do stand up? Is that like a goal of yours or no?
No.
No?
I think that's. I don't know. It seems really difficult. Like there's a huge difference between being funny in conversation and then like being able to write a joke, punchline, and tags, and then go up and make a crowd laugh.
What about screenwriting or like writing comedy? Not performing, but writing. How about that?
I'd say that would interest me more than like actually doing stand-up. I think that could be fun. But even like I'm in sports media, obviously, but like integrating the two of them is something that would ideally suit me.
So like kind of like Barstool.
Exactly. Sure. That's a great example of it.
Yeah, comedy and sports, put them together.
Yeah.
But I think what I would say, like, especially with going up in front of people, like for a long time, like before I went into sport media, the sport media people, sure, you can be comfortable talking like over this, but sometimes getting on a stage is just something completely different, you know? Because that live reaction, that live feel of the crowd.
Yeah.
I remember like because I don't need to put too much shine on my name, but when I was valedictorian for my high school, I went
up
up
valedictorian.
I was, you know.
You didn't go to a sports school, eh?
No, yeah. You know what, Coburn? You know what? We're just gonna end the Zoom call. I'm joking.
Nah,
That's
man.
it.
I
It's
love it.
over.
I love it.
But yeah, I was up there the valedictorian speech, and you can write down whatever you want on the piece of paper. But when you're up on the stage and you're
Anything
talking
you
to
want?
them, huh?
Your teachers didn't look over it or anything.
They looked over it, of course.
Well, you just said anything you want.
No, because I was trying to get into the comedy mindset. Because if I'm going to make a speech for a crowd, obviously I need to write it down and get the main points. But the thing is, comedians, and that's why comedians I feel are so gifted, because they have the timing, they got to add stuff in that certain place. Because if you're just going to go line by line by line, and you're just going to read something out that you just wrote, it's going to sound stagnant.
No, for sure.
So I'm
It's
saying
completely different. It's a different animal making people laugh. Like you can have a compelling speech, and that's still difficult. And being able to talk in front of people, like I don't really have a problem with that. But yeah, the aspect of consistently making people laugh that's crazy to me.
But did you watch the Dave Chappelle one, the one that he just put out? The one that was what was it? 10:42? What was it called?
I think it was whatever. It was the time that the officer was kneeling on George Floyd. I forget the time off top, but that was what it was called.
Yeah. So whatever that time was, he did that special, and I felt like that one was a lot different from everything else that comedians do. Because I feel like Chappelle, he's my favorite comedian, and he's probably a lot of people's favorite comedian. He has like these social issues, and he talks about earlier in his career when he had Half Baked, like maybe Coburn knows that movie, maybe he doesn't.
Yeah.
He had Half Baked, he had the Chappelle Show. He was going more for like, he had it, like you could still see where he was going, and he was still commenting on those issues of racial injustice and stuff like that, but he was making it more of a joke. But if you look at that special, and even like Sticks and Stones and his stuff that just came out a couple years ago, he's going more into talking, just talking, and he's naturally funny. And I think that's something that maybe a lot of comedians don't have.
Well, that's what people are doing now, especially comedians. They're telling their own life, like they're telling stories and just making them funny, like how we're talking right now.
Yeah, like the classic punchline. Would you say the classic punchline is gone, Coburn, or is that still something that's there?
No, I think it's there. It's just you don't realize it.
They're hiding it.
So the punchline is in the story. Mm-hmm. You laugh at it, but it's not a setup. It's not like a knock joke. So it's just like it's a story and it flows. But when they're writing their jokes and working it out, they have punchline. They have them written in there. They know when everybody's gonna laugh, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what I was saying. Like the punchline is blurred now, because especially everything with the story, because storytelling's gotten so much better. Because if you watch a 1970s or a 1980s movie, we're not talking Scorsese or Coppola. We're talking like those guys, because people say 70s, 80s, 90s. Like, what's your favorite decade of cinema, Coburn? What'd you say?
I honestly wouldn't really say I have one. I mean, there's great movies in every decade, and I don't think I could be like, pick one and be like, oh, I love 80s movies. I honestly don't think I can do that.
Yeah. Well, let's just say, for argument's sake, because mine is the 90s, right?
Okay, sure.
I felt like that was great.
All the Rockies.
Rocky was in the 70s, Mitch.
I don't know anything about that. I just know you love Rocky. That's it.
But you look at the storytelling in the 90s compared to now, the storytelling in the 90s, outside of those movies like Pulp Fiction, what's another good movie that had a good storyline? Heat. The Matrix, obviously one of the best screenplays. All those ones had like nuanced storytelling. But before, it was sort of like, they also came out with a lot of shit in that time. But now, our eyes, we've seen so much. We have Netflix, we have Hulu, we have Amazon Plus, we have HBO, we have Disney Plus, we have YouTube, we have everything that we want. Our storytelling, we need something new, something fresh. And that's why I appreciate now about More Days, is that like what you're saying, it actually means a lot more, and people actually listen compared to like what I feel like before. It was more like they're going to see the movie star on the screen almost.
Yeah, I think a lot of garbage is produced now, but I see where you're coming from. I think there's like most of the stuff that Netflix comes out with, I think is terrible for the most part. That's just my opinion. Whatever. I know a lot of people like it, but yeah, I get what you're saying there.
You watching any Netflix series right now?
No. I guess through this quarantine, I watched Entourage. I'd never seen it. I watched the whole thing. Did we just lose Marc?
We just lost Marc.
See ya. He didn't like that I wasn't watching Netflix, so he just left.
I don't know, like, oh man. Damn. Did his computer just die on us? He forgot to tell us?
Well, I don't know. It says there's 9 minutes left in this. Did he try to go start a new one or something?
No, I'm the one that controls it.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know who's the producer here.
Frankie's the producer, but he's not here.
Oh,
so
yeah, Frankie's in Wasaga.
There he is.
Just disappears mid-podcast. Great co-host.
Bro, where'd you go? Where'd you go?
You know, I could make an excuse here and say that like Nona called me upstairs, but my computer died.
Man, you gotta come prepared, man.
Shut up.
See, like when I was talking with Coburn, he was saying he probably didn't like the fact that I don't watch Netflix.
Yeah, you got pissed. You just left.
Well, Mitchell, Coburn. What do you think Mitchell's type of movie is? Just by looking at him.
Type of movie? I don't know, but I don't know the exact type, but I feel like he likes to go on Netflix and look at the top charts, and like you pick like a top 10.
He picks a top 10 on Netflix.
I picked the blockbusters. I don't go in. I'm not like Marc who chooses movies. I don't know how he chooses them, but very specifically, I just choose the best ones. Have good actors. If I know the actor, I'll watch it. Basically,
me and Coburn put filter.
I just scroll till I find something. I don't try that hard.
All right. Well, Marc, before this gets even more, we're about to run out of time before we get to our open book segment.
Yeah.
So I know at the beginning you wanted to have a quick rant about something.
Exactly.
I will give you 2 minutes because I don't want you to rant about. I know this is something that you're very passionate about right now. So I'll give you your 2-minute rant, and then we'll move on to open book. Okay. So Marc,
can you give me 1 second? I have something to pull up. It's a little bit of my notes on the situation.
You have notes, eh?
Of course, Coburn.
I think this is a good time. This is a good time for me to address something. The background here, this is not my room. Okay, this is at my grandmother's house. I don't know. Maybe thousands and thousands of people might see this. They might think I have a messy room. No, I just got to clear that up. Okay.
Okay.
I'm in a spare room right now.
Well, Marc, why are you taking notes, man? Is it really that serious?
All right. I'm just gonna address the issue. A month ago, we had a podcast. It was episode 4 of the podcast. I'm not going to say any names as to who's on that podcast.
Are you an idiot? You just said episode 4.
They can look up. They can see who's on episode 4 if they want. I'm not saying their names. But there were people in this podcast who blatantly disrespected everything that we did and everything that we stand for. You ask to be on the podcast. You ask to come on. You ask to talk about relationships. You ask to talk about sex. You ask to talk about all this. And then you just decide to come on the podcast and act like you don't know anything. Well, you know what I have to say? That's what I have to say. I'm going to bleep it out because I don't care.
Because you care. You're going to bleep it out because you care.
Yeah. Marc, man.
I have more to say. Coburn, we're going to bring you in on this rant. You're bringing on somebody on your podcast, eh? You have a podcast. What's the name of your podcast?
Give me a name. Nosebleeds.
From the Nosebleeds. You're on From the Nosebleeds. And you're the host. And somebody asks you, somebody that you think is going to help you get a lot of views, clicks, whatever, streams.
They have clout. They have clout.
Whatever you want to call it.
They come up to you. Marc, do they though?
Huh?
Do they have clout? What do you think?
I don't know. They obviously don't have clout because they only got 170 views. Must be pretty ass clout over there. But they come onto your podcast, and then they say, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to make sure we talk about all this, and we're going to get all this views. We're going to promote it on our story. We're going to do that. Then you send them the link to promote the story and promote the podcast, because otherwise, what's the goddamn point? And they don't do it.
You got 30 seconds, Mark. Keep it up. Keep it short.
So when you blatantly disrespect the process of what's going to be happening here, don't expect to be a friend. I've been watering dead plants for a while here, and both y'all are dead plants. You're dead. Done.
Haven't you only had one podcast with more than one person on it?
Exactly. So it's easy for the viewer to find out. It's unbelievable what these people did. I have more strong words to say that are very bad, but I'm not going to say it. But I just want to know you're a disgrace, you're a shame, and I hope that you think about what you did.
Okay, Mark. All right. So, yes, we didn't like what the people that Mark talking about what they did, but Mark wanted to rant about this. We don't mean any disrespect. It's in the past. Who cares anymore? But Mark.
Maybe you don't mean any disrespect.
I don't think Mark.
Mark meant disrespect.
I think Mark means, but they knew Mark. He knows them. I don't know them, so.
Right. I did. I used to know them. You know.
Oh, they're dead to you.
They're dead. All right, so let's move over to our open book segment. Okay, Coburn. So the thing about open book, this is where the questions come in. You can ask us anything, and we can ask you anything. So the point of it is to get the guests to open up more, be more transparent with their life or anything. And we wouldn't want to just do that for you and have you being transparent. So we want to be transparent as well. We want this to be a comfortable, safe spot, which is why whoever you choose to ask a question to, whether it be Mark or myself, that person gets to ask you back.
For sure.
So you can ask us a question about anything. It could be about sports. It could be about our
movies, relationships.
About relationships. Maybe you know something.
Life advice. If maybe we even shouldn't say question. Maybe if you just you need to talk to us.
Yeah, you need
whatever you want.
Exactly.
Are you guys my therapist? Is this
of course. For these 10 to 15 minutes.
After what we just saw with Mark, I think Mark needs
the therapy.
After that,
he's trying to dodge it so he doesn't get asked the question about what.
I've been asked the most questions here, Mark. So back off right now, man. All right. So, all right. But the only thing is, we do have rules behind it. You cannot say any names.
For sure.
Even though clearly Mark.
Yeah.
Did I say name, Coburn?
Mark obliged the rule. He did.
You said everything but the name.
But you know who it is. Like you made it very easy. So we just don't want to have any names. If it's a story you want to know, or if it's a story that we want to know from you, be very general with it. Hit the points, but don't say any names. Don't make it seem like if there's someone else in it that you know wouldn't want to know that it's them, don't put it in. All right? We don't want any problems there, okay? So you get to ask either Mark or myself a question. Any question you want, man. And you got to choose.
All right.
What do you want?
I'm trying to think who would ask me the easier question. Who's going to give the easier question back? That's the strategy.
That's the strategy.
You know what? It really doesn't matter. I don't care. I'll answer whatever. All right. I'll ask. Wait, who's being asked more questions?
I think it's 2-2 right now, isn't it?
Nah. Because Ben asked me.
Yeah. Alyssa asked me.
Asked you. Pac asked me. And then the girl. Then episode 4, we had an open book of all 5.
Whatever that segment was.
Whatever. That was all 5 of us, so that doesn't count. So technically, I have more than you. So.
All right, Mark, I'll ask you a question.
All right, that's what I want
to hear. I'm gonna ask you a self-reflective question.
Let me get some popcorn. Let's go.
All right, Mark. I want to know during this what. Well, do you?
I love that. I want to know. Yes, we do.
All right, Mark. During this quarantine, outside of exercising and working out, because everybody knows that, what is one way you have improved yourself as a person?
Ooh, very.
That's a deep question, eh?
I'm gonna actually get deep on it because I've had some things I want to talk with the boys.
Oh.
All right.
I gotta be straight here for 1 second, Joe. Straight face. Let's go.
So I don't know. Lately in my life with relationships and stuff like that, I think I found something about myself through this quarantine that's like that I didn't assess before, but I think it's true. I think what I do is I almost attach myself to a relationship or to a person too easily. So in an instance as when I get to know somebody and I'm talking to them, usually a talking phase, you're just like what a player would do, or like somebody that just wants to like go with the girl, just like mess with the girl and don't care. But something I did is like, I put like a lot of effort because like, I just don't like people feeling bad on my behalf. You know what I mean? I always like people to feel good around me. You know what I mean? If it's just a joke, if it's like that, I don't like to bring off like a sad vibe. But like sometimes when it's just me and myself and I'm with the girl or like I'm with that, I put too much into it. And what I found is that like with the girls I've been talking to, I put a lot into it, but they don't put a lot back. You know what I mean? So what I think I've learned is keep it like whatever you have, always put what you want and your needs first. You know what I mean? If you're looking for that girl or like that person to fulfill what you have already, or like what you're looking for them to complete you, or you're looking for them to do it, it's not going to work. Because I was watching the Kevin Hart, Joe Rogan podcast, and they were talking about in game, everybody, in life, life's like a game. You just keep going up levels. You know what I mean? So you're going to be on level 6 and you're going to be complaining about level 6 when you haven't shown that you can actually like deal with the stuff in your life. You know what I mean? So levels refer to like what you're going on in your life. So things may look like easy right now to a certain person, but like you have to learn how to deal with that, because God only gives you stuff that you can deal with. And anything that in your life, if you can't deal with that, why is he going to add a girl in your life? Why is he going to add a girlfriend, a relationship that's just going to add stuff onto you that you're not ready for? So I've found, and self-reflection, if I have to have one goal that I put in, it'd be just stay calm, stay the course, don't put too much in everything, and always give your attention to the person that you're talking to. Don't have too much onto one side of it. Just give your attention and live in the moment.
Okay,
it's interesting that you said that. Sorry, Mitch, you can jump in after me. But just how you're talking about like, oh, when I'm trying to talk to a girl, whatever, and I'm just not getting anything back. I kind of have a similar rule. I kind of set rules for myself in like all facets of life. But especially if you're talking to a girl or even anybody in life, it's like, I feel like if they're not giving the same effort back, that's it. And I'm over it. I'm not going to just keep like putting forward energy. And if nothing's coming back, then I'm spending too much time on it.
Exactly. And that's why I exactly think happens to me sometimes too. Like what the analogy I brought up before, this is like exactly the perfect one. I'm watering a dead plant. I'm putting all that stuff into it. I'm giving her my sunshine, all the water, all the seeds, all the nutrients, but it's dead. There's no reason to do it. You know what I mean? And but it's sometimes hard as well, because Coburn, you'll know, like sometimes, we get lonely. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want somebody to talk to and you want to open up to somebody, but at the same time, if they're not willing to open up to you and they're not willing to reciprocate it, then you're just talking to the wall anyway. So you might as well get used to it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mark, that was actually, I really actually enjoyed your reflection there, because I think that was really powerful first thing. Because I don't know, just hearing about Coburn, when he just said, I think I can say for myself, obviously you and I just heard from Coburn, I think we've all been there. Mm-hmm. And we're all that type to put all this energy in and not get the same recognition back. And sometimes we're even okay with that. Because sometimes for me, I'm okay with, let's say if I'm talking to somebody, giving them as much attention, energy as I can, and even getting like a slightly stuff back, I use that and it motivates me more. I think we've all, and I'm one to be like that. And I honestly, Marc knows this for sure. I don't think I've talked to you about this, Coburn, but when I used to talk, it's been different now, I guess now, because I had a little bit of, you could say like a glow up right now. But when I gave a girl attention or anything, that they just used me as a friend. That's what it was.
Right.
All the attention you would talk to me about their issues or something, they would just use me as a friend. And I would always be the guy that got friend zoned. Always. And I hated that. Absolutely hate it. Because then you can't talk to a girl anymore. Like, you just can't. It's past that time. And like, one thing I wanted to say about this, Marc, what you just said, I was hoping that you would not go down the path, which you didn't, but don't stop being like giving a girl an attention, because you will find a girl that, let's say, checks off all your boxes, and you will give her that attention and she will give it back. All right. Mm-hmm. So don't think that because you've had bad history with anybody that, okay, yes, focus on yourself. One thing I've learned too, focus on yourself, focus on working out, bettering yourself. That's right. But don't become like the selfish dude or anything like that. That's just like me first kind of thing.
Exactly.
Me first. And also the reason why that could be too is because these girls have been treated like that before. And it's like a recurring cycle, So they've had to not give them that attention. you know? And it's the same reason how we give the girl attention, because they're not giving us the same attention, you know? So it's everyone has someone on their own hook. You gotta remember that. And once you find that person which you both share passion, you share attention, that's how you know it's a girl. And that's where you go 100% in, like we talked about with Pac's episode. 100% in. Don't hold anything back.
Nice tie-in right there.
Right?
Nice
I just thought of that. I thought it was pretty smart. But that's just my thought. And Mark, I appreciate you bringing that up. And Coburn, that was an amazing question. Great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
All right. So now I got to ask Coburn a question going off that deep talk. I don't know if I want to get too deep with it.
Mark, we're killing it right now. Please go off the deep talk. I love this talk right now.
All right, Coburn.
Yep.
So you give me off like a generally confident vibe, and like you have a sort of confident vibe, but sort of going off what, like, we're in that mode. I'm just going to say there. We're like extroverted. I feel like we got that same vibe as like we're almost extroverted introverts. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%.
So we almost put on a show, if you want to call it that, and it looks like we're like that, but in reality, we're much more to ourselves than people would like to believe. So I'd say, how do you manage almost like that confidence and like being yourself? You know what I mean? So having that extroverted attention to everybody, but like also dealing with it, like when you have that issue. You know what I mean?
Great question.
If you feel what I'm saying.
Great question.
Yeah, I think it's all about, like, one thing I pride myself on being is like I'm just always myself.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's good or bad, like sometimes you'll like listen, if I don't really get along with somebody, I can't hide that, and I can't pretend to be somebody's friend. Okay, it just doesn't work for me. And it's the same thing with like, oh, are you extrovert, are you introvert, whatever. It's just like I don't think I've ever been like that extrovert, like class clown where everybody's like you're talking to everybody.
We're cutting off there, buddy. I bet.
You cut off there, but that sounded good. You talk about extroverted
big.
Go back to the
just cut some leg. Okay. What was I talking about? Okay, I was saying, did you hear me talk about like I'm never one to be like in front of a bunch of people like talking like that?
Cut off when you said you're in a small group.
Yeah. So that's when I find myself like, if it's a group of like even as probably as big as 10, whatever, I can have all the attention and that doesn't bother me, whatever. But if it's like, that's when I have the most fun interacting with people. And that's when I find the most enjoyment is in smaller groups where just conversations flowing back and forth. And that's when I'm really myself. But I tend to be more introverted, especially if I'm brand new to, like, let's say I started a new job. I'm not one to like come in and be loud and like make jokes with everybody at first.
Exactly.
I'm very reserved at first, and then I kind of just have to open up to you.
Exactly. And that's why I think a lot of people think, because you can say extrovert, introvert, and that sort of puts you in a box. You know what I mean? Because everybody's everything. We're all introverts. We're all extroverts in certain situations. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But we all tick differently in certain situations. You can have the most introverted person, but they find one person that they trust, and they'll tell them everything. But then you can have the most extroverted person making jokes, like you said, class clown, but then they get in a one-on-one situation with somebody, and they don't know how to cope with it.
They can't even hold a conversation.
They can't hold a conversation because they're not used to it, because they're always used to pleasing everybody else around them, which sort of goes back to the point we were saying. You have to be pleased with yourself first, you know what I mean? And know what you want, you know what I mean? No worry about like, oh, I have to make a show for this person, or I have to sort of act like this to make it look like I'm that. It's fine whatever mood you're in, just as long as you know and you're comfortable with that, almost.
Yeah, like, Marc, your question, again, you guys have killed it with these two questions, man. I think every person, like, especially in sports media, with us all, need to have that confidence, because we're in a media industry. If we're trying to be on camera, you have to show that confidence. We got to try to be as confident as we can, but on the inside, you're more introverted, And that's what's funny. I don't know if you guys ever had this. You guys can tell me this, but there's been a lot of times where I see who my friends are because they see through me sometimes. They see that I am outside confident, but as they get to know me, they're like, he is more introverted, but just puts on, but not like a show, but puts out as confident as he can, because that's what people like. That's how you make friends. That's how you explore life,
And that's another thing. I need to add just something on there. something about the media industry that I love media and I love watching stuff, but one of the bad things about it and what ESPN and like not down talking it because like everybody likes it. I enjoy it. You guys enjoy it when people bring their takes and they're loud, but most of the time that's not really their take. It is their take, but they're playing up to it to like give it that heightened thing.
Give that confidence to that audience.
That heightened sense of like that's their take. They're feeling at this time, and they're performing at this level. But in reality, nobody lives their life at this level. Everybody lives it at like about here. You know what I mean? And it's just going through the waves of shit and going through waves. And that's why if I were to have to change something, it'd be like you're on a talk show. You don't need to say that you're like Paul Pierce. You don't need to say you're better than Dwayne Wade to make your point. That's why I feel like a lot of these analysts do almost. They try to make their point by putting other people down or trying to like do that. But also I can get it why they do it because they want clicks. They want ratings, but that's just what I would have to say about that.
Yeah, that's a separate conversation of like when you talk about that, it's like that's just purely business. They need to attract ratings, right? It's different from when like if you actually talk to somebody like that in real life and they're actually like that, chances are you're just not gonna speak to them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
All right. Well,
yeah, we want to close it up, Mitch. That's all.
Well, that I guess is our show, man. Like. What a great! Can we get a round? Thank you, Coburn, for coming on the show. That was an amazing.
Giving us a sense of fresh air on this podcast. Finally, a good one.
Marc, yes, you and your fresh air, man. It was I think what Marc tried to say was a great, rebound episode.
Exactly.
You know,
great rebound. Rebound.
We appreciate you.
Bounce back.
Bounce back. There you go. Rebound, bounce back, whatever it is. But we appreciate you coming on, Coburn. It was honestly one of our best episodes, I think. So
thanks. Thanks for having me on. You guys it's a great show. I could lie and say that I've listened to all the episodes, but I haven't. But the ones that I've listened to have been pretty good. So yeah.
We out here, do I want to know, but worth the hype. We calling you out. Where are you at? We've been waiting for the invite to the episode. We haven't seemed to find it in the emails yet.
Basically, what Marc's doing right now is he's calling out everybody that's ever wronged him right now. Because like Worth the Hype Girls, if you guys don't know, Sarah and Jenna, they have a great podcast that talks about pop culture and trends. They asked for us to come on the show when Do I Want to Know started, and we said we'll do the same thing. We'll talk about it, and we haven't got back. It's been mutual. We haven't got discussion yet, but we want definitely to join that show. So a little shout out there for Worth the Hype. Maybe they're watching, maybe they're not. Who knows?
Yeah, today will be the big determiner. I think.
Yes, and the reason why we brought up now is because Coburn is a great friend of them. Correct? They both went to Bill Crothers.
One of them did. Sarah went. Jenna didn't. Yeah. Okay.
The other one doesn't even matter. I'm joking. I love those two. It's a good. I love their episode.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Hopefully that one will go better than the other two.
Oh, for sure. What? I think that's where we're going to end it.
It's the truth. End it on the truth.
And again, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show, man. We really appreciate it.
All right. Take it easy, guys. Ciao.
All right. And until next time.
Yeah, there's Marc's sign off.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I said my goodbye too early.